In this video, I want to compare the open world design of Cyberpunk to a little game you might not have heard of. Fallout New Vegas. Firstly, I'm choosing New Vegas to compare to Cyberpunk because I think the original design of Cyberpunk was meant to mirror a lot of choices made in the game design for Fallout New Vegas. The early promo footage for Cyberpunk included branching story paths, multiple ways to beat objectives, and meaningful RPG progression. Also, the beginning of Cyberpunk and New Vegas are suspiciously similar. Both games start with you doing a job to deliver a chip to some rich guy before being shot in the head and then resurrected by some handsome guy with a beard. Interesting. Firstly, I just want to say I'm totally biased towards New Vegas, since it's my favorite game ever made, but that's for a good reason. New Vegas provides one of the most interactive and realistic open worlds in video games. Okay, but what even is a good open world in a video game? Is it a realistic landscape with emphasis on beauty and believable design? Or maybe a land filled with interesting NPCs and their stories? Well, to me, the three founding elements of a good open world are NPC interactions, discovery, and consequences. NPC interactions are needed to create good storylines, discovery gives the world its detail, and consequences give the player meaning in the world. Without NPC interactions, the world is a blank canvas. Without discovery, the open world is pointless. And without consequences, the player doesn't matter. In short, Fallout New Vegas nails all three. While Cyberpunk... well, you'll see. Firstly, I'm going to say a bold statement. Cyberpunk should have just been a story game. Think for a second, what does the open world of Night City really bring to the table? Spoilers, not f***ing much. There's a bunch of really cool buildings. Okay, that's good, that's good. There's this nice little hidden away garden. Awesome, awesome. A bunch of random mission pings that end up being shitty Radiant quests. Okay, yeah, not good. When looking for cool places to visit in Cyberpunk, I did some searching online. And on Tech Raptor's list was a market, a shipyard, and a road. A fucking road. This is basically my main problem with the game. The stores and locations in this game are so lifeless. These places aren't interactable either. All you can do is walk around. The only real interactable places in the game are the strip clubs, and even they're boring. Like, think of the fun they could have had naming a futuristic strip club, like Cyber Sluts or BDs for titties. But no, the best I could come up with was Lizzie's Bar. If the NPCs in the stores even talk, it's always one quick line of, "How can I be of service?" There are exceptions, of course. Some vendors have backstories and dialogue about owning an apartment complex, but I don't give a shit. Because all they do is sit in their hobbit holes and never leave. So their backstories don't matter because frankly, they're a glorified snack dispenser. Like this guy who owns a shop and only sells unusable sex toys. They literally come under the category of junk. What the f***? Another note is the lack of NPC relationships. NPCs don't ever interact with each other, they only talk to you. There's no quest between open world characters, where you've got to deliver something to someone over here, or get money from this dude and give it to that dude. Now compare these lamos to the vendors in New Vegas. Just outside of Freeside, there's a shop that sells guns.
Okay, that sounds pretty rudimentary.
Wait, it's run by a robot factory that makes all the weapons behind the shop.
Well, I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess.
But there's more. If you speak to the right people, you can get a quest to rob the factory of its weapon manufacturing schematics.
I mean, shit, that's pretty sick.
On top of having a unique idea for a vendor and interesting dialogue, you can also break into the factory and try to rob them while avoiding their Terminator bodyguard. This isn't even the only shop with a quest, they pretty much all do. The Van Graff store has one of the best quests in the entire game, involving multiple storylines and NPCs, but we'll get to that. Now you might be saying, Cyberpunk couldn't do that because it has way too many shops to have a specialized quest for each. And yeah, you're right, but how many does it have? Well, let me tell you, because I counted them for some reason. It's 85. How many of these really matter though? It's pointless buying guns and clothes because enemies are constantly dropping higher level gear. And cash is so tight in this game, you don't want to be wasting it on tights, or otherwise you'll be stuck in an infinite pit of side gigs just to avoid the cool knife arms. On top of this, you can't even go in third person and cop a fit check, so looking good doesn't matter either. And I get the food stores are meant to be immersive, but fuck it, I'll say it, waste of time. It only makes the game feel even more shallow because if you try and roleplay and immerse yourself, you'll see that you can't even sit down at a table and eat. mind. You gotta do it in the menu. Like shit, just let me sit down and eat my cat food in peace. In my 50-hour playthrough, I never looked for a med store because every fucker you brutally unalive has a health inhaler on him. Maybe if he used it, he could have seen his kids one last time. The vendors all have different tiers of items they sell, so some are just better than others. But now the problem is, why would I ever not buy from the best shop? So all these other shops are now completely irrelevant. A better system would be to cut down on half of the vendors and actually make them special. Like this guy only sells gorilla arms, and this guy only sells kids to Minecraft YouTubers. Bad joke. Bad joke. Now the vendors actually mean something, and with all this time, shit, give him a couple quests. Maybe a simple fetch quest, or a battle for business, or... no, why? I don't care about crowd NPCs, because obviously it's insane to ask 1 billion NPCs to have unique dialogue, intricate quests, and daily routines. But I do care about a few of them. Let me help an old lady find a fucking dog or something. The vendors in New Vegas are all specific and built into the world. Like I know I can get medical supplies from this implant clinic, or I can get some bandages from this wannabe hospital, or I can go get some funky herbs off the sexiest sexist Spartans you've ever seen. I know where to buy medical supplies in Cyberpunk because a marker on the map tells me. A staple of the open world genre is the theme of discovery. Skyrim throws you into a believable world with political parties, undead dungeons, and really fuckable cats, letting you slowly explore the world by yourself, finding quests and storylines unique to your playthrough. When I first played Skyrim, I ran all the way from Whiterun to Winterhold to learn the art of seduction. And it took me 4 hours of jogging, also because I was getting mauled by dogs constantly. But the next day at school, I told my friend about it, and he laughed at me and said, "You know, there's a carriage that can teleport you there, right?" Also, I don't want to be friends anymore, which made me feel like an idiot and kind of sad, honestly. But what I found along the way were endless towers, faction patrols, and this really cool hole that I really hope nothing bad happens to. Cyberpunk provides nothing like this, because from the second you can run around, everything is marked on the map. So there's no need to ever go looking for anything. And on top of this, you can fast travel everywhere from right out the gate. So on the rare occasion that a mission wants you to travel halfway across the map, instead of having to go there on foot and actually discover the world, you just teleport there, ruining all exploration and natural discovery this game desperately needs. Exploring the world can and should be fun. Give the player things to do along the way, or trigger random events like Red Dead 2. Like, you know, make me drive there and have some big sexy hot robot man chase me or something. Like, that would be terrifying and in no way enjoyable. Or put missions in more sweet locations. Like, why is there nothing to do with the giant fish? Give me a quest to make hologram boo. So if Cyberpunk does this so terribly, how do you make a game with good exploration? Well, let me tell you. All across New Vegas are these eye catchers meant to draw your attention. Instead of just building a boring ass town, the devs gave this one a fucking roller coaster. These stand out when everywhere else is a dust ball filled with cactuses. So when you see something like this, you think, fuck, I gotta check this out. And this design is intentional. Cyberpunk has these cool eye catchers too, but they're never used for anything. They're just there. While every structure in New Vegas has something to make it stand out. Dinosaur, rocket ship, satellite, guys being dudes. You'd think in a futuristic megatropolis covered in neon, there'd be loads of this. Well, there's not. But everything I just said doesn't mean dick to what I'm about to say. When New Vegas starts, you're spawned roughly in the middle of the map. Long story short, you do a bunch of investigating, maybe murder everyone there, I don't know, it's your choice. But while searching for clues, you come up to this lookout and spot this big, thick, erect tower shining so brightly amongst the dead wasteland. You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? You sick bastard. You, of course, have no idea what it is, but that's the magic. Now you want to explore it. But even if you don't see it then, at night, New Vegas can be seen from everywhere on the map. It has lights that beam so bright, and everyone's talking about it like it's giving out free handjobs. Notice how this gives such a better experience of discovery than Cyberpunk. Because in New Vegas, it's actually so hyped just to walk somewhere. Because you don't know what it is, only that it looks sick as fuck, and everyone around you said, yeah bro, it's sick as fuck. And And maybe it's giving out free handjobs. In Cyberpunk, there's none of this, because right away you're given a button to teleport there. Here's the kicker though. Cyberpunk doesn't even need fast travel. The world is surprisingly small, and you're not some stupid little elf running on foot. You drive fucking cars. And some of these cars are pretty fast too. Also, all the important missions tend to stay within the inner city area anyway, except for the Pan Am and Pacifica stuff, and hey, trust me, you don't want to miss out on that. You get to drive a tank and have cool cyber sex, and it's fucking great. But that's like in total 6 missions from a 60-hour game. So the inclusion of a billion fast travel locales is pointless and ends up ruining any exploration this game could have had. In open world games, immersion is key to making a believable and fun world. In the real world, things change. Leaders switch, people die, cities rise and fall. Good open world games reflect this and use it to immerse the player. Fallout New Vegas gives the player so many opportunities to influence and drastically change the world. From small scale businesses to whole towns, the player gets to be an active role in the world. So instead of being a passive participant who watches a bunch of shit unfold in front of them, the player is the one actively creating change. That's good storytelling and player agency, baby! Cyberpunk never lets the player engage in the world or create any meaningful impact. Basically, in Cyberpunk, your actions don't have consequences. Stealing is punishable by death until you run around the corner, and vehicular manslaughter is this funny made-up word. The quests provide a major illusion of choice. None of the dialogue options or different objective paths lead to any unique outcomes. So in essence, nothing matters. Just do it, pull the trigger. Speaking of backstories, in the Street Kid prologue, you take a ride with a gang leader when a rival gang pulls up on you and demands your boy to remove his boys from 54th Street, and he'll give him fucking a Padme Street, and they have a little Mexican standoff. It's actually such a sick moment that's never followed up on in any other part of the game. The map is even set up like factions fighting for territory. The Maelstroms are in this area, and the fucking tech turds are in this, so why can't they fight for it? Imagine if you could join one of these gangs and do quests to manhandle an area. Hey shit, let's get those vendors involved. Maybe certain gangs own some real estate. So helping the animals means Tony's Pizza doesn't want to sell you the Hawaiian special anymore. Now you might be saying, yeah, but V's literally dying. It doesn't make sense to give a shit about a bunch of gang wars when you've got a fucking virus in your brain. But by that logic, none of these other side quests matter either. Racing? Nope. Political corruption? Nope. Dude cyborg dick fell off? Still no. Most open world games suffer from this, but Cyberpunk never stops shoving it down your throat how sick you are, and goddamn it V, you gotta get to goddamn accomplishing. Remember earlier we were talking about the Van Graffs? Well, they're actually involved in one of the best quests in New Vegas. The Van Graffs are a family that own a gun shop just outside of New Vegas, and they hire you to convince and escort a girl named Cassidy to their shop. This might get a bit confusing, I know, but don't worry, we'll get through it. Just hold my hand, come on. Hold it. The magic of the quest being the Van Graffs are actually a little bit naughty and killed Cassidy's previous caravan and friends, and wants you to deliver her to them so that they can fix her dandruff problem. Of course, in classic New Vegas style, you can team up with Cassidy and get revenge on her caravan by ending the Van Graff bloodline in a dance of lead. The consequences of this quest being either letting an innocent person die or destroying one of the best gun shops in the game. Cassidy being a major companion gives this choice even more weight. Decisions like these make everyone's different playthroughs unique. You might have stuck up for the little guy because of morals or some other fucking stupid shit. Well, I shot on sight because she had the same name as me. And there's only room for one cowgirl in this New Vegas, bitch. The closest we get to this in Cyberpunk is Johnny Silverhand's Sims 4 friendly meter. But again, that only gives a secret ending and a cool cutscene. It isn't even that different anyway. Giving actions meaningful consequences makes open world games more believable and real, which is something Night City is severely lacking. After finishing the main story, I spent a lot of time just exploring Cyberpunk. And what I quickly found was that so much of this open world is a complete waste of space. So much never gets used in the story or important side quests or even side quests in general. Like, look, this is cool, but shit, you'll never see it unless you go looking for it. And even if you do go looking for it, nothing happens. You don't get a cool quest or unique loot. Nothing. One of the coolest areas in Cyberpunk is this undercover Chinatown styled area called Little China. Yes, a very, very creative and in a familiar fashion is never used for anything and has no reason to be in the game. So many other areas in Cyberpunk are exactly the same. This led to the main reason I decided to make this video. While driving around, I remembered that cool ass junkyard you get left in at the start of the game. It took me like 15 minutes to find the place, then another 10 just to find Dexter's fat ass, because this whole area looks exactly the fucking same. And what reward do I get for finding Dexter Deshawn's body, the guy who shot me in the head and started the whole domino effect of the entire game? Just one lame pistol. Nothing cool happens, no Johnny dialogue, no cutscene, nothing. Just pick up the pistol and piss off. Again, is it even worth putting him there if it means nothing? The whole open world of Cyberpunk is full of this. It looks amazing and so pretty, but that's all it is. A pretty world. Sorry, a pretty empty world. The worst part is this massive rubbish dump is such a cool area. If this was made by New Vegas devs, you know there'd be tribes living here or some cool scavenger hunt quest or just something fucking cool. But no, this area has literally nothing and is just a stupid space that looks cool. The difference between these games is the same difference between an art gallery and an old playground. Cyberpunk's open world is a gorgeous palette of beautiful buildings and luscious landscapes, while New Vegas is this rusty ass playground that's hard to look at and will definitely cut. Cyberpunk has thousands of NPCs and countless unique characters, but like an art gallery, won't ever let you touch them, as opposed to New Vegas, which lets you play God with everyone's lives. Cyberpunk gives you no control or consequence over the world, despite that being a major theme in V's character, while New Vegas lets you decide the fate of a major war and ultimately change the political landscape of New Vegas forever. New Vegas isn't the prettiest game around and definitely needs a lot of polish, but a playground is still a playground, and this playground is so much more fun and replayable than staring at a bunch of pretty but shallow paintings. So with all of this said, why does Cyberpunk have an open world? If not to give cool NPC choices and make meaningful impacts in the world, maybe it's because of the GTA style multiplayer they've been cooking up. Or maybe in order to make a good game nowadays, devs think they need to slap in an open world to be considered good. Look at some of the highest rated games from the last couple of years. Cyberpunk's got such fucking great characters and some of the best moments from any game I've ever played. Whenever shit gets weird and Johnny starts spitting facts about Makoshi with that fucking music kicking in, I'm loving it. But when I'm exploring this desolate world, I'm just confused. And the irony being, a fucking desert is more fun to play in than a futuristic megatropolis. At the end of the day, Cyberpunk is a really good action-adventure story game. Maybe one of the best, but it can't ever truly be a masterpiece, because at the same time as being an awesome action-adventure story game, it's also a painfully dull and lazy open-world game. Hey boys, welcome back, thanks for watching. I'm just gonna sit on my chair now and just chat. Actually, no, maybe not, that's really low. Fuck it, how you doing? How you doing out there? Anyway, thanks for watching as usual. I appreciate everything. I love coming down here and just fucking chatting shit and yelling in my shed as my poor neighbors close and lock the doors because they're scared of what I am and what I've become. Anyway, as usual, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and yeah, tell a friend or something. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I gotta go. I gotta get out of this shed. This is like straight off the books. No script. Straight raw dogging it.